in. Thank you so much. So we have a great program for you all tonight. We will take some, if you have questions, we're going to allow for a good amount of time for questions and answers, some Q&A with our local young entrepreneurs. So if you have any questions for them, feel free to drop them into the chat and we'll make sure to get them answered as we can. If you wouldn't mind to keep yourself muted, just so that we can avoid background noise and things like that. But if you have any questions, you want to raise your hand or use the chat box, we can go with that. So I do want to welcome everybody to the second quarter of our Young People's Conversation series. So we are working to spotlight and highlight some of the young folks in our communities and how our young people are shaping our communities and the impact that they're having in our rural areas. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we have as our moderator, Mr. Samuel Cole, who is a native of Anson County and current resident of Union County. And so I am going to stop talking and turn it on over to Sam, and Sam can maybe do some introductions for our panelists. We have three wonderful panelists for you tonight, and that would be Garrett Snuggs from Anson County, Sharilla Horton from Moore County, and Brandy McPherson from Hoke County. So thank you all, and I will stop talking. Thanks.
Well, good evening, everybody. I thank everyone for joining us tonight, and I just thank Alexa and Cynthia and the New Rule Project for allowing me to moderate. Entrepreneurship is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I enjoy talking with other entrepreneurs and learning. So I am looking forward to the discussion and the panel and all the questions on tonight. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Samuel Cole, Jr., and most people call me Sam. And I am from Anson County. I have lived there the majority of my life. And when I say majority, my parents were military. So I was technically born in Louisiana, but I don't remember any of that. So Anson County is where I was raised. And I currently live in Union County. But I still work in Anson. I still go to church. My mom still lives in Anson. And so a lot of ties there in Anson. My background as an entrepreneur, I have an LLC, Eden, a consulting business. And just to kind of give a little background out of that, the pandemic really provided a chance to just to pivot and to really learn and get feedback and kind of understand what works for you as an entrepreneur. I originally started out I used to teach math, so I tutored and transitioned from tutoring in person to through Zoom. And just the nature of my work in general, partnering with and collaborating with whether it be local government or different local organizations, that LLC transitioned to a consulting business. And so that kicked off around 2019, and that's kind of that background story. But I think next we will introduce our panel members, starting with Brandy McPherson, and the name of her business is Molding Young Moguls, which is a nonprofit. She's out of Hoke County. And Brandy, do you want to talk a little bit, introduce yourself, and talk about yourself and your business and what you do?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Sam. Good evening, everybody. I'm super excited to be in the room. So as you heard, I am Brandy McPherson. I'm a resident and a native of Hoke County, so North Carolina to the bone, and I love it, and I tell everybody all the time. I have over 10 years of nonprofit and business experience, but I'm super excited to be talking to you guys tonight about my newest and one of my most exciting endeavors, which is Molding Young Moguls. Molding Young Moguls is a leadership development program designed to just really elevate North Carolina's young leaders and provide real change. So for us, change is cultivating humanity and negotiating greater experiences. And we try to do that in every single thing that we do, and we try to instill that in our young people that we work with. So Molding Young Moguls was founded really so I have to go back as it was part of a nonprofit organization that's been around for a while. Community Outreach Advocates has been active in Hoke County for longer than the 10 years that I've been active, right? And I was blessed to work really closely with that organization. And, you know, being a millennial, like it's so awesome that that's what we're talking about, millennial and Gen Z. I noticed that there was a little bit of gap when it came to our youth services. There were things out there, but not necessarily the things that were catching attention and really holding and grabbing our young people. So with the blessings of that organization, I was, given my wings to flourish and develop a youth division specifically targeted for our young people. That's Molding Young Moguls. So our pilot launched in 2019 with a summer camp. It was great. And you guys know what happened in 2020. So that COVID-19 pandemic put a little monkey wrench in our plans. But like I was telling some of the panelists earlier, things happen sometimes, for reasons that we don't know. So this school year, we're really fortunate to partner with the state of North Carolina through the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council to serve as a diversion referral for those guys. So they've invested some money for our first year with them, and we're looking forward to growing and doing some great things. So great, very happy to be connected with you all.
Thank you, Brandy. Love the energy. Look, Brandy is going to keep us up this evening. So thank you for that. Next up, we have next up we have Mr. Garrett Snuggs, who is the owner of Tite Cutz Barbershop and the founder of the Triad Barber School in Wadesboro, North Carolina, which is in Anson County. Garrett, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do?
As you stated, lifelong barber, 23 years now. That's my passion, my business. But over the years, I got to thinking about, my long-term viability, what I want to do long-term. So started Triad Barber School in 2020, try to give opportunity to other young men and women. I know the barbering industry changed my life. I felt like it could be life-changing to other people. So that's what I'm about. That's what I do. And lifelong entrepreneur. Glad to be in the room. Here's some good ideas.
And interesting fact about Garrett, and he remembers this, but Garrett used to cut my dad's hair. Like my dad did not let many people cut his hair, but he did trust Garrett, and I think it's very cool to he's never worked for anybody, and that's a very cool thing to say. So I'm excited to hear what he has to contribute to this conversation on tonight. Next up, we have.
Well, I just want to jump in and just let everybody know Garrett has been a wonderful partner for New World Project. He was our very first partner to kick off a pilot program of our barbershop conversations, fruitful African-American discussions on empowerment. And we are forever grateful to Garrett and the work that he does there in Anson County. So I will, thanks.
Thank you, Alexa. Next up, we have Miss Sharilla Horton with the Inner Genius Unlocked LLC, representing Moore County. Sharilla, do you mind telling us a little bit about Inner Genius Unlocked and just some of your background?
Hello. Yes, I would love to. So again, I am the owner and operator of Inner Genius Unlocked, which is an LLC, which is a for-profit. I first started with the nonprofit business world in 2011. After I had my second child, I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to leave him. So I started the nonprofit and I did tutoring. I was a pre-K teacher, director. My background has always been in the early childhood field before moving back to Moore County. So I spent 15 years in the early childhood realm in Mecklenburg County, served on a lot of boards, did a lot of work behind literacy and tutoring and research. So fast forward, I moved back home to Moore County, and the pandemic hit, and I was working at Pinehurst Elementary School and working at the Boys and Girls Club doing their mentoring program. When the pandemic hit, I was already homeschooling my son, tutoring some students, and so the parents wanted me to tutor their kids. So I ended up with about 25 kids throughout the entire school year doing various things, ended up doing homeschool co-op, virtual learning support, after school tutoring, did a lot of different academic services. And so it just kind of grew from there. So now I am actually in the process. Didn't know if I was going to do this permanently or temporarily. The plan was just temporary during the pandemic, but saw the needs. I am 100% for education and kids. That's pretty much all I care about outside of my home and my children is education, making sure that students get what they need, not just on paper, making it look good, but we have a number of initiatives that I keep saying I do this. I want I'm here to get collaborations with other people and meet other people and develop a team so we can collaborate. But I provide a number of services from tutoring students to homeschooling. I have 4 young ladies that I worked with, making sure they got into college because their support systems told them they could not. They have been accepted. They're getting scholarships, going to orientation with them over the next couple of weeks. And all of them are actually going into a university in August. So that is what we do. So that's the for-profit leg. We're about to turn some of these programs into nonprofit initiatives so that we can get them into the hands and in front of the students who do not have that support. And we're able to actually go out to them and meet them where they are and get them what they need.
Thank you so much for those backgrounds and a little bit of information about the different businesses and nonprofits that you have going on. So I think we're going to dive right into our roundtable discussion, if that's okay with everybody. We cool with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Let's
Here we go.
talk.
So there are a few themes that seem to be arising that I appreciate. I have a background in education, and I hear youth, investing in our youth. That's such a critical part of any community, and so the first question that we have before us is, how does entrepreneurship relate to civic engagement? And so when you think about civic engagement, right, that's where you're addressing issues of public concern. And so if you really think about entrepreneurship, is essentially just meeting a need. And so by definition, those two they go hand in hand. But I would like to get some input and feedback on how you all feel your particular route in entrepreneurship relates to civic engagement and just having that impact on your community.
Yeah.
Should I pick somebody, or do y'all want to just kind of raise your hand? We didn't establish a system.
You tell us what. I don't mind starting this one.
You talking? I'll let you go. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you have music to play to shut me up, but give me a wink or something to shut me up. But
Okay.
In relation to what I do, I am very intentional on the civic engagement piece of it. I am really big on focusing on minority students and students with special needs. And I want to make sure that every student finds their place. Inner Genius Unlocked is all about finding that inner genius in students. And our motto is, a confident student is a successful student. And so from the very beginning, I start developing relationships and building confidence in our students so that they know that they can engage, so that they do know what goes on in the community. They know that everybody has a talent and a gift inside of them that we need. Go into great detail whenever I'm creating programs and I'm talking with the youth, making sure that I tie what it is they're interested in into this world, into what they need to do. One of the programs that we have is HITS. It's our hobbies, interests, and talents. And it literally shows them how to turn what they enjoy doing, what they would do for free all day long, into a monetary gain. And how the world can benefit from what they have, teaching them to be confident in when they're speaking to people, when they walk into a room, being kind to people, instilling all of these things into them, because when they are entrepreneurs and they are going into the world to work and to provide a service, that they're not only providing a service, but they're leaving every situation and every person a little bit different, a little bit better from those interactions. And so the more entrepreneurs that we put out into this world and instill in them the positive characteristics of being an entrepreneur, because we know that there are some negative, rude, mean, nasty people out there. Once they become entrepreneurs, they don't want to share. They don't want to give back. They don't want to pour back into people. But when you teach them and you raise them to be entrepreneurs, it just doesn't happen by accident. Then they have that unique opportunity to leave that imprint on everyone. And then, of course, teaching them about economics, financial literacy, how to give back, how to save, how to leverage their credit, how to leverage real estate, teaching them all of these different things that go into it. Because when you start young, you have a lot more time to teach them a lot more things. And you're actually raising students to be civically engaged in their communities, because that's just not something I know in the Black community, in my community, in Eagle Springs, that never came up. I didn't even know what the word civic meant until I got to high school and I had a course. So making sure that every student that I reach, I'm putting into them how important of a role they play into the world of what they're doing.
Wow. Wow. And when you talk about public concerns, and I'm sure a lot of you on this Zoom may have some concern over the next generation and just how they're going to be able to handle stuff going forward. And that is a very good point in investing on the front end. Children, the ones who will be the entrepreneurs, the ones who will be the leaders tomorrow and in the coming years, just equipping them and preparing them to be able to take on these challenges and to be entrepreneurs. That is important work to be doing. Brandy, because I know you're kind of in a similar sphere working with youth. Can you tell me how you maybe relate your work with civic engagement?
Yes, I don't know if you can see like the burning excitement that was behind my face as she was talking, because I'm excited and just empowered to know that there are people that kind of think the same. Like, of course, we all have our own methodologies, but putting the children's or the youth that we work with, the young people that we work with, the leaders of tomorrow, putting their concerns and putting their needs and putting them first and developing the resources that we provide, I think is really key. So I love to hear you say that. So we're only as strong as our network. I'm glad to be connected and can't wait to connect after this. So yeah, like we said, civic engagement is really addressing a public concern. Entrepreneurship is really that vehicle that we can take to do it. You know what I mean? And be effective in doing it. I feel like a lot of times people forget that nonprofit creators and nonprofit owners are still entrepreneurs. Like I always share, nonprofit is your business, is your tax ID status. That's your tax status. It's not your business model. If you're going to keep the doors open, if you're going to do some other, if you're going to, you're going to grow this thing, we have to find revenue from somewhere. So we are entrepreneurs. And so we're finding these innovative ways to address the public concern. So again, just with Molding Young Moguls, I feel the same way with Sharilla. Like we are teaching them right now, like I shared earlier, to enact change. And you can enact change in everything that you do. Change is cultivating humanity. Humanity, that's us. Cultivating is refining, make better, and negotiate greater experiences. That's my acronym. I'll pop it into the chat. But in everything you do, there's something you can do to negotiate a greater experience. Whether that's when you're on the phone and you say hello, how did you say it? Did you make it the best experience that it could be? And we lead with that. Our space is called the Change Studio. So that's somewhere that you can walk into and literally whatever it is that needs change, whatever needs cultivating, we address it whatever way that you want to, whether that's spoken word and you want to get this thought out through social media and you need to express the feelings that you're feeling, or if that's creating an initiative to combat what the issue is. Our kids were really excited to come up with a mental health initiative just because they saw so much bullying in the schools. So just by listening and acting is how we are pushing civic engagement.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that response. You keeping the energy up for the group, Brandy. Mr. Garrett, and I'm gonna go on a tangent for just a little bit, and y'all stay with me. So my wife is the detail person. I'm more of a big picture, and I think sometimes with guys we can kind of see the macro. And for me, my wife helps me create that balance because she's the small step by step. Big picture for Cole and Eden is to be a part of the inevitable progress, the inevitable economic development that will come to rural communities, right? And when I think of Garrett and what he's providing for Anson, he's giving opportunities for people to improve and to learn a trade, which helps them to be able to contribute better to a community. So, Garrett, would you mind talking to me about really just your thought process and what do you get out of providing an opportunity for people to learn a trade and to learn a skill that will help them, maybe elevate socioeconomically, to have a skill that is valuable, that can allow them to be an entrepreneur and be a producer in their community.
Yeah, so that's everything for me. Like I'm in the beauty industry, when I was barbering full time, I had a little moniker I go by, you look good, you feel good, you might possibly do good, you got a better chance of doing a good thing under those circumstances. Yeah, that's what it's all about to me. In America here, we have a hard time passing $15 minimum wage. Right. So I'm a big person on individual being able to place their own value, on their self. You're going to have a more higher value for yourself than John Smith or whomever may be employing you. So I'm a niche person, but I believe in all trades. I'm a barber. I'm a purport barbering. I think it has its place in society. I think it helps civically, because you have opportunity, everybody want to look good. So you got a good broad group of people that you have an opportunity to impact positively, speak something positive in their life, whether they're a young person, a peer, you have an opportunity to maximize your impact in that intimate session, a man behind the chair, a woman behind the chair. So as far as civically, I think we have a great impact on that. But more than that, I think that a young man or a young woman, any trade, carpenter, plumber, you can create your own business. You can set your own price. You can work your own schedule, gives you some flexibility, allow you to still have, great impact on your children, how they're raised, give you opportunity to be more there with them, pass on your values, your work ethic, try to keep things going a little bit better. If you branch it out a little further, each one teach one, each one reach one. That's my place in the world. I feel like that's my calling. Try to, give as many people an opportunity as I can. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now, trying to get financial, get my school accredited, so I can get Title IV, so I can give more opportunity, to more people, Anson County, where we come from, money tight, right? So if you can give some more avenues for people to get an opportunity to do what they want to do, the better off, you're gonna be. So, and another thing for as opportunity, you always, gotta support yourself more. Like, you gotta put the work in. Anything that you want to have or that's worth having, worth working hard for. You know, you can't never be content, complacent, or whatnot. So, you know, that's what I like doing. That's what it's all about to me.
And what I'm hearing from all of y'all is empowerment, right? This is entrepreneurship is a way to empower people, because we know that when people do not feel empowered, right, what that can lead to, and just giving people opportunities. You know, again, empowerment is very important when you talk about public concern. People who do not feel empowered, um, they may not, you know, handle things the way that, you know, they may handle things differently. They may, you know, almost like a, you know, what is it, like a monkeys in a barrel type thing, or um, really just unable to maximize and to take advantage of the opportunities that are being given. So empowerment is critical, and I love that about all three of y'all's points that y'all made. Putting people in a position uh, to feel important. And that's kind of what it comes down to. So, but that was just question number one. I'm trying to keep track of time, so let's go on to number two. So the second question is, what are legislative issues of concern specific to young entrepreneurs? And I will direct this question starting with you, Brandy, because I know you mentioned juvenile crime prevention, the JCPC funds, and I'm a little familiar. Well, a lot familiar. I used to do a nonprofit, and we used to get some of those funds also. Because you talk about some of the maybe the legislative issues that affect young entrepreneurs like yourself.
Yeah. One thing I think that's really important that we always note, right, is that every legislative issue affects all of us, right?
Yep.
And that any issue that we find really needs to be addressed can be a legislative issue. So those are the things that we're really trying to teach when we talk about like providing equity. Yeah, we want to put a Band-Aid on it, but we want to see systematic change in the end. So however we have to run that thing up the chain, and we know that systematic change happens at the table, right? That happens through our legislative movements and things. We got to make it happen. So I even working with young people, and like you said, working with JCPC means that we're working with at-risk or adjudicated young people, which is you know, just like also specific population in itself. We try to remind them that your issue matters and you have to be involved. So we got to vote, especially, you know, we have to vote, and that's one thing. But something interesting, not sure if everyone's aware, it's not the newest thing, but in North Carolina, we have passed raise the age. And I know we've had a lot of talk about it and we've heard about it before, but just speaking specifically about that demographic, I think everyone should be aware. And I think it's great that we are realizing, because we know we weren't grown when we turned 17. We were still, you know, I think it's great that from a legal standpoint, we realize that, and we're providing second chances rather than giving, you know, final sentences. So that's something to note. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, I think it's important for us to watch the budget, right? So we kind of know where those state dollars are going. So if we're looking for a pivot, or if we're looking to add a stream of income, we kind of know something that we can tap into. So I'm not sure if everybody noticed that North Carolina has now enacted a biannual, so a 2-year budget. So that's something to keep up with, and notice that those numbers are locked in there for 2 years. So we need to make sure we're voting to make sure the numbers are right, but also tapping in and using those resources. Something I think is interesting too, maybe like my last one, is that the Compassionate Care Act passed the Senate. Right. So that's medicinal marijuana here in North Carolina. And if we're thinking about business models and streams of income, it's something that's not tapped just yet because it hasn't been legal. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. And again, with me working with at-risk youth, a good amount of the cases that come through are maybe marijuana related. So we've been watching as policy changes. So tying this back into the civic engagement, right? Watching as policy changes, I want to make sure they're aware and they see it. And if these laws are changing, what are we doing for those people that were affected by these laws before? Right. And so those are the things that we're going to bring in the conversation. And I'm hoping to empower, like you said, those young people to make a little bit of good noise.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll have to correct me. I'm a little rusty on my JCPC lingo, but the raise the age essentially just extended the age to where you could, what's the term, convict, I guess, youth. And so what that does, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that gives those children who have normally been put in jail or probation or whatever, it gives them another chance to just to kind of correct some things and not be put away so quickly. And the numbers don't lie, y'all. Like I said, it's been a while since I've looked into it, but they compared how much it costs to preventative or JCP programs versus to house a person in jail, and it's not even close. And so, as an entrepreneur, understanding that, hey, this is a chance for me to help correct some things and help our state save some money in the bigger picture. That is critical, because that's essentially what you're doing whenever you're working around that raise the age. You're helping to keep somebody out of jail, essentially, which is expensive. So, but yeah, so are there any other thoughts, when we talk about legislative and things like that, are there any other thoughts that we would like to share and how that relates to entrepreneurship for you?
I would love to.
Okay.
I still, first of all, taking it back to raising our students, I do believe that we need to start raising more civic leaders. Historically, we look at it historically, most of our leaders in our country have been older white men. And so it's intimidating in any role that you go into whenever you walk into a room and no one looks like you. And, not even to add the fact that we don't instill our kids with the confidence, not us as in parents, but just the world in general. There are a lot of negative things that our Black kids, Black and brown kids see about themselves. And now our kids with special needs and our kids within the LGBT plus community, there are a lot of negative things that they see in the world and from social media about themselves. So raising them to know that in order to make these changes and to have the impact, you will need to be in a role where you're working in the civic world, you are voting, you are aware of what's going on in this country, your county, your town, that you are bold enough and to be a leader in that civic world and run for elective office if if it's a passion of yours. But raising our kids with this confidence, because it's not something that kids see. When I bring it up, I get that question from our regular everyday students. Oh, I can do that. I can be yes, you can be the mayor. You can be whatever you want to be. When I say whatever, I mean whatever. But it's hard for a kid to see that and to think that unless you put it in their minds if it's something that they've never seen. So yes, the legislature is very important, and us knowing what is going on in the budget and the community and what to vote on. But then again, I told you guys, I care about one thing and one thing only, and that is our students, their education, and their success. They are the future. So raising them so that they are able to combat some of these changes, these negative changes that we're not going to get into, that are happening, and these reversal of things that are positive for the us as a whole. But making sure our kids understand that the best way for you to do this is to be at that table. Like you said, Brandy, be at that table, not just a member, but you can be a member. You could be the head. You could be the president. You could be the mayor. You could be the governor. There's so many different roles that you can take to impact this thing, because that's where those decisions start, where the funds go, what we pay attention to, what we make important. Those are the things that our kids need to see. And because as an entrepreneur, we want to start making it easier. It's rough being an entrepreneur. It's a lot easier during the pandemic. Like we said, a lot of funding opportunities opened up with the pandemic. But before the pandemic, it was really, really hard for a regular everyday Black person to get a loan from the bank and to get some of these things that we wanted to. It was really, really hard from a legislative standpoint of where money goes and all of these things. So just being able to raise our kids so that they can make these differences, be at the table to voice their opinions and change some of these things that are legislative issues that are making it harder for young entrepreneurs.
Love it. On the front end, putting in the work. That's important. I see Mr. Gregory Taylor has his hand up. Do you have a question, Mr. Taylor?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Two questions that I want to suggest to the group. The first one is, how do you define entrepreneurism? And the second question is civic engagement entrepreneurism? So how does the group define entrepreneurism? And then, is civic engagement a part of entrepreneurism?
Does anybody want to take that one?
I'll start it off because I know one of my colleagues can back it up and fluff it up if need be.
Yeah.
But to me, simply entrepreneurship, like to the core, is establishing businesses in the hope of them being successful. That's entrepreneurship. And like we said, civic engagement is addressing those public concerns, whether that's individuals or groups, and whether that's through the community or through politics. So for me, civic engagement is not necessarily entrepreneurship. You can be involved in civic engagement through grassroots movements that are not tied to business. You know, civic engagement is when we go protest and when we write letters to our senators, and when we're making sure that we go vote, you know what I mean? And things like that. I think that's civic engagement. So we can be, everybody has the opportunity to get out there and make change, even if they don't feel the nudge, you know, to be an entrepreneur and to set that thing up.
Yeah, I'll just to add on, you know, entrepreneurship is, if people don't need it, you know, there's no businesses, they're meeting a need. That's what an entrepreneur does. And so you can tie that back to civic engagement. A lot of the things that they are talking about, public needs, speak directly to civic engagement, but it does not exclusively have to be entrepreneurship relating to civic engagement. But I think there have been studies that show that people who are more inclined to be civically engaged are just better chances of being an entrepreneur. And that just comes down to being, you know, I know this is a need, and so how can I, you know, work it to where I'm helping to meet that need, and then build some income at the same time.
Yeah. So building income in addition to engaging in what's important in the community.
Exactly. And you know, each different business has their bottom line, and but that's the good thing about entrepreneurship. It's very flexible. It literally can be anything that you want it to be, and you can approach it how you want it. And but yeah, did anybody else have anything to add to that question?
Let me just piggyback on that.
Yes,
as we're talking about entrepreneurship, we had in Scotland County here in Laurinburg, we had several businessmen come in during our entrepreneurship talk, and they discussed one of the biggest challenges of an entrepreneur. So my question to the group is, in your experience, what has been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur and bridging that gap to civic engagement?
The biggest challenge between being an entrepreneur and bridging that gap, not just the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur. Okay, because that was a lot. But I think the balance for me, the balance between being an entrepreneur and that civic engagement is different in a rural county, in a rural space, than it is in larger areas. And I say that because that is my biggest challenge. I started in the nonprofit and entrepreneurship world in Mecklenburg County. It was a whole lot easier starting that. And I've just, because there's more people. People pay for convenience. And they pay a lot more for convenience in the bigger places. But you also have people that think differently. So moving to a more rural area, the issue for me has been being able to run my business and market my business but also be engaged in that civic world. That is, the civic world is me, my personal opinions. This is what I believe in. This is what I stand for. This is what I want to fight for. But in a business realm, I want to serve my community. I want to serve my customers, my clients, regardless of their beliefs, their personal beliefs. So it's difficult sometimes, depending on what you do, to run a business and be involved in the community, because sometimes your community needs and your business needs don't always align. And so that is difficult for me at times. I know that is my personal challenge within the business world and that civic engagement. However, I think it's a lot easier to be more civically engaged now versus 10, 15 years ago, because I think a lot more people are opening their eyes to what our needs truly are. I think and it may be the pandemic. I think the pandemic really kind of leveled the playing field for a lot of people when everybody was stuck in the house, when was experiencing shortages, when everyone was experiencing issues in school with their kids, so I think it leveled the playing field. But just having to balance your personal beliefs, because to me, the civic engagement is your personal belief. In the business entrepreneurship world, where it's your business and it is your philosophy and your mission, it's not necessarily where you put your personal beliefs before the needs of your clients, the public, and the services that you're offering. So that's a difficult balance here for me in Moore County.
I agree. It's different for the rural versus your larger markets, but understanding your customers, and really just being creative. Like, if have your conviction, and not selling out. But I did want to introduce John. I saw him pop on. Can we introduce you real quick, John? If you would tell us about your business and just a little bit of background about yourself. Glad to have you on.
Can everybody, excuse me, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Sir.
Yes,
How y'all
sir.
doing? How y'all doing? I hope everybody doing good today. My name is John, and my business is Underground Cutz. I'm from Lombard, North Carolina. My shop is in Lombard, North Carolina, and I've just been having this passion to cut hair for years. I've been cutting hair for years, and I just finally stepped out and decided to take matters in my own hand and try to be an entrepreneur.
Well, congratulations.
Congrats. We got two
Yeah,
barbers
he used to cut my hair.
Yes, sir. Used to, yes, sir.
All right. Well, we got two barbers on tonight. Well, John, welcome to the panel. We're just going through some discussion questions. I think I saw a hand up. Did anyone else have a question before we? I think
It was me.
Okay.
I was just going to check that answer the previous person's question about challenges that you've had in entrepreneurship. So one of my challenges that I faced was having enough people to implement my vision, right? Skilled people, join my operation. You understand? To see what I want to see through. So, I went through that for years. I went through several barbers. Won't ever really to ever accumulate enough to have the kind of business that I want to have. When you're a barber, as far as generate funds, it's what you can generate from behind the chair, your personal self, right? So I was thinking about things a little bit bigger. I wanted to make a little money without me working so hard. You feel me? So finding good quality people to come to my area, having the skills necessary, not only the skills necessarily, it takes I'm sure my man who just spoke, John, can attest to this. It's more than just cutting a head of hair, right? You got to have some more skills other than your hair cutting ability, your interaction with people, you know, how you communicate with people, how you work. Some people don't work well with others, you know. So all those things. So I needed more people to build my business up the way I wanted to see it go. So I was getting older too, still having birthdays. So another thought was, you know, you got to eventually replace yourself, right? So that was my idea behind Triad Barber School. You know, in my mind, I want to be able to have my fingerprints on the people that I incorporate in my business, right? You know, I want to be, you know, in control of what they're learning, or, you know, have some impression on their mentality over a period of time. So that was my solution to my problem. So now, you know, shop's more fully staffed than it has ever been. Got 2 employees there that I trained personally. And I had a working relationship with the other 2 or 3 people that worked in there. So, you know, we growing, we building the right way, I think. But yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to address. Answer
Yeah,
his.
I wanted to add on to that and just really quickly, you know, networking is really important. Um, there's a African proverb. Hopefully, I don't butcher it, but basically it says, if you can accomplish your dreams on your own, then you're not dreaming big enough, right? So if it's a big vision, you're gonna need to work with people to kind of expand that. So real quickly, can y'all tell me, you know, your networking habit and how is that for you all?
I'm gonna jump in on this one. I love networking. I love networking. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I don't meet a stranger. That gets me in trouble in Moore County. I don't meet a stranger. I love people. I love getting to know people. I just love it. That's actually one of the things that I did in Charlotte was I went to different networking things. I didn't know these people. I was a poor little girl. I had no money. I was on food stamps and everything. I was hobnobbing with CEOs of Belk Foundations and all types of agencies and organizations in Mecklenburg County. But it got me to a lot of tables. So networking is not what you know, it is who you know, 100%. And networking is a way of getting that support that you need and building that team that you need without having to spend the overhead to get it. Another one of the initiatives that I have just started is the League of Extraordinary Minds, and it is a networking group for young kids, young adults, and I put them into my different networking groups so that they can interact with different people. If it doesn't resonate with them, cool beans, we'll go to another one. I also bring people in so that these adults that are in business, that are in entrepreneurship, can see these young people that are just graduating from high school or just graduated from college, but they're comfortable talking to people that they do not know. Because especially when you're in a rural area like this, you got to have networks outside of it so that you can bring in the things that we don't have. There are a lot of neat gaps in services here in Moore County as well. Just like you mentioned, Brandy, in Hoke County, there are a lot of gaps for services. And to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to get every service that a kid needs to meet their needs here in Moore County. It doesn't have to, now that we're okay with virtual, we don't have to be in person now. So I could have a network. I have a person that's connecting with one of my students and he's moving to Chicago and he's going to be his mentor. I have another young girl. I just got her a mentor Saturday. So I'm connecting these different kids with people that do what they love to do, but they don't live where they are. They would have never met these people had it not been for networking. I speak for a global network every other month. There are 200 countries. I get to meet people in Dubai. I get to meet and speak to people in Singapore. And I get to meet these people because of networks. And it's just amazing. That is, to me, I teach my kids this. That is the most important thing, is being able to speak to people, express what you need, express how you feel in a very concise manner, so that when you speak to someone and you give them your elevator pitch, your 30-second personal elevator pitch, it pulls them in. It pulls them into the room. It pulls them into you. They see your passion. They feel your passion, and it will open doors. It will open doors for you. And so, yes, networking is the number one thing in my mind that's the best for entrepreneurs, young adults, even if you're not an entrepreneur. Network, talking to people. People they don't even know how to talk to people. Kids don't know how to talk to people anymore.
I
I see you
love that
leaning
you're
in, Brandy. Go
introducing
ahead.
that.
I
Oh,
see you
I'm sorry.
leaning. No, you good. It's all you. It's all you.
No, it's exciting just because I think like it's like if you reach one person in the crowd, we say that that's like a win for the day. And so I think it's cool that we can speak to like different experiences. That's why I was excited. But I agree. I think networking is literally our key to success, right? Because we can't do it alone. None of us can do, like you said, if we can do it alone, then the dream is too small. So it's funny how we say how I'm keeping the, talking about energy and things, because I'm an extreme introvert, believe it or not. So I understand the gold of networking, right? But going to the networking events and popping it, sometimes it's really not my jam, how some people would say. So what I've learned over the years is to be strategic about the partnerships that I make, right? So when if I see that there's a gap that needs to be filled, and this can kind of piggyback off into the question that Mr. Gregg asked earlier about what was our challenges with tying in our entrepreneurship with our civic engagement. Well, for me, it was working with populations that were not able to pay fees or pay dues or pay memberships or do things to help keep the things going that need to happen. If I'm working with at-risk youth who don't have jobs and they don't have the support system at home, I want to work with you, but where do I expect the money to come from? So we had to get innovative and creative and build out our network to fill in those gaps. So you have to get out there, especially with us being in these rural areas. We have like a 4-step way that we implement change, right? And the third step of that is exposure. I have to show you those things that you don't even know are out there. I have to connect you with those opportunities that you don't even know are accessible so that you can believe that it is real. So I make sure that we connect, but I do it strategically. That way, from the personal, us talking to each other, it's me trying to save my little energy bank over there.
I'm with you on that. I'm an introvert too as well. It takes, you gotta kind of hype yourself up for it, for the connectors and things like that. But honestly, to y'all's point, coming from a rural area, you don't really learn how to network. Well, I know at least I didn't. Maybe some other people did, but I didn't. So, when I moved to Union County, that was probably one of the best things that could happen to me because it put me in front of more people. And, the pandemic, I'm sure that sparked a lot of like just drive and creativity in some people. And for me, being around other people, maybe who had some of the outcomes I was looking for, ended up getting some mentorship and things like that, helped me to really just expand my vision. And not even just, for customer sake, but just thinking bigger, like, and you're increasing your skill set and just kind of coming up to those levels where the people may be that you want to, get to. So yeah, I agree with that. Networking is super, super important. And I'll touch on this real quickly because somebody mentioned mentorship, and again, just hometown hero Garrett. Essentially, that's what he's offering. Like he's taking his skill, duplicating it, passing it down to other men and women, and they're taking it and they're able to use it and to just produce, and add to the local economy. Like it's a beautiful thing. Did anybody else have anything else about networking? That was a hot topic. All right, cool. Well, I can kind of tie these last two questions in together, and you all have kind of talked about it already. But when we talk about the different businesses and civic engagement, a lot of times we're filling in. We're picking up where the government kind of leaves off, right? Or we're giving to our community and just filling those service gaps or bringing people together. Essentially, that is what my goal with my business is to remove barriers that are limiting progress, and a barrier could be something as simple as not having the information, right? So it's about connecting people, building this partnership. That's how I met Cynthia and Alexa. It was reaching out saying, hey, like seems like we have a common goal. Where can we maybe possibly work together? And so talk about that a little bit. How your specific LLCs, your nonprofits how do you give back to your community? I know, of course, you have your bottom lines and things like that, but how are you giving back to your community, maybe bringing people together? You've kind of talked about filling the service gaps, but maybe just to reiterate, how are you really supporting your community?
I could go first. I do back to school haircuts every year. I've been doing it maybe 6 years now. Uh, I've seen that steadily grow as far as the number of haircuts that we're able to give out. Like I said, you know, you look good, feel good, you might do good. Young man, young lady. At this point, last year we was able to incorporate some cosmetologists to do some uh, young ladies' hair as well. Uh, Hoping that's going to continue to grow. Uh, so we was doing this for several years, and so more and more people in the community started hearing about it. So I wanted to join in and help out more. So now it's a whole big thing. It's grown into a whole big thing. I think we serviced over 100 and some kids last year with not only haircuts and hairdos, but we was able to give book bags, school supplies, uh, shoes in some cases. We've been having some Zoom meetings, messenger meetings this year, trying to re-coordinate it, keep it at least as big as it's been so far. Hopefully it can grow a little bit more this year and further. That's my thing, a way of giving, just giving my skills, my talent, my time to those that have, given to me. That's my way.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to respond to some of the questions. Mr. Taylor has another great question. As a business owner, he's asking, do you create civil engagement? Is that
how do you create
okay, yeah. How do you create civil engagement? Now, and using new rural project an example, part of their goal is to create civil engagement. And so, Cynthia, that's like her, she's very intentional about that. So I know that this group, maybe that's not their primary, but are there any businesses who are a little intentional about being civically engaged? Go ahead.
I am. I'm pretty involved in the civic world in Moore County here. I at some point have probably been in almost every civic group there is in Moore County. But anytime there's a need in a civic group, they call me, I'm coming. I'm coming to speak. I'm coming to help with events. I'm coming to march. I will come and MC. I will come and host. Whatever the community needs from me, I try my best to meet that need and meet it well. On top of that, as far as like the giving back piece of it and bringing things together, I provide services to families and students, whether they can pay me or not, which is where the idea for the nonprofit wing and leg is coming, because we're back to that point where parents can't pay me, so it was going well for a while. Now it's back to where, they can't. So I always try to give back. I'm going to provide the services for the community, whether it's academic services or whether it is needing the support or a mentor or whatever the community needs. So just being there and being that person, because I'm really, really big on being the person that I tell my kids to be, my biological kids and the ones I work with. I'm very big on that. I want them to see me in the community. I want them to see me at the park setting up. I want them to see me taking out trash. I want them to see me doing the breakdown. I want them to see me doing all of the things that come with it. Because even when we talk about entrepreneurship, social media makes it look easy. And so you always have to explain that it's still hard work. Everything that you want to do has hard work behind it, but just being able to give back. And when my students can come and help, if there's an opportunity for them to volunteer, I bring them out to volunteer. I lead them to the opportunities as well. So just sharing every bit of me and every bit of information and knowledge I can with the community, not just here in Moore County, but working on it being global, but just everything that's in me, I feel like God put there to be able to reach out and give to somebody, no matter how small I think it is. I always try to give back.
Beautiful point.
That is a great point.
Yeah. Faith without works is dead, right?
There you go. God gave me this vision at 16 years old. So at 16 years old, I've been pushing forward. And so I want my kids, students I work with, to know the same thing. Just, if it crosses your mind, it crossed it for a reason. God's never going to put it in you if he can't get you to it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Did anybody else have any input they wanted to, before we kind of go ahead, John?
Yeah. To answer your question, I think the other barber name is Mr. Garrett. I think that's his name. Okay, I want to make sure I call his name, address him. We did the same thing for us giving back to the community last year. A couple of barbers, we got together and we didn't service as many as he did. I think he said 100. We did like 75, and we could have did more, but due to the time limit, we had to cut off. But we had rotating barbers, and we had it was a community event. A bunch of barbers us got together. So to knock out another question you asked about the networking, that was very important. That a lot of us barbers was able to get together. As Mr. Garrett know, the barber game is sort of can be a competitive thing, but it was a good thing that a lot of businesses was able, or a lot of barbers was able to get together and service the kid. And as well, we gave out school supplies and book sacks and things like that. And that's part of how we did the civil engagement. I'm new to the business. I've only been an entrepreneur for 2 years, so hopefully I can do more in the future. But that was just one example of how I did the civil engagement. Thank you.
Cool.
That's awesome. Hey, that's awesome, young brother. You know, keep building on that. Anytime that us, you know, like you said, we usually don't even try to get. We don't really get along most of the time. Barbers don't, for whatever reason. Be the change you want to see. You know, ain't no need for that. That's enough out here for all of us, right? You know, it's 10 million North Carolinians, right? I know in Anson County it's 28,000 people or so. It's 5,000 in Waysboro. I ain't never cut them all, and I think I cut real good. So it's enough out here for everybody. It's how you market yourself. It's the product that you are producing, and how you treat people. You know, how you treat people gonna carry you further than your skills a lot of times. You know, but yeah, that's wonderful. I like hearing that. That's good. Good deal.
It's nothing like sending kids to the first day of school with a nice haircut. That does a lot for their confidence. So that's
anytime a student used to cut up or have behavior issues in daycare, the parent would be like, "I'm gonna take him to get a haircut. He's gonna be much better tomorrow."
That's
Look
fun.
good, feel good, might do good.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I want to, while I still, because you all are giving great advice, I want to kind of, you know, if there are any, I'm taking this one from Cynthia. So is there any words of advice for Gen Z or millennials who want to be entrepreneurs, right? I feel like it's starting to trend now where people are saying, hey, it might be a good idea for me to be an entrepreneur. You know, maybe some advice that can help them take that leap. Any advice? Go ahead, John.
I'm gonna take like 30, maybe 45 seconds to answer your question. I'll be finished. The advice I would give is rich people hang around a lot of rich people. Poor people hang around a lot of poor people. So if you hang around 5 poor people, you'll be the 6th. If you hang around 5 rich people, you'll be the 6th. So you need to have like-minded people in your circle. Me, myself, starting this business, my parents, one worked at, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Scotland County area. One worked at Campbell Soup and other one worked at Abbott. So they were still in the, excuse me when I say this, they were still in the older mindset of working in plants to provide. So I had to show them that I could do it myself. They asked, why did you leave a $62,000 plant job? But I wanted financial freedom. I wanted something to carry down and give to my kids. So the advice I would give to people is hang around like-minded people, people that want to generate money, generational wealth, that want to be not necessarily rich, but who want to be financially freedom. And if you hang around like-minded people, you'll always have that boost start to do bigger things. So,
amen.
That's good. Basically, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around. So that is some really good advice, and something that, you know, being from a rural area, maybe it's hard to get around those type of people. That's when you gotta invest in yourself and say, hey, I'm gonna have to put a little gas in the car and ride up the road, or take advantage of Zoom. Like, it's really wide open now, so no excuses. But that is great advice. Any other advice?
Support yourself, you know. You gotta be just like the young lady was telling us, Sharila, Miss Horton. You gotta put the work in, you know. Ain't nobody gonna support you better than yourself. You know, so there's early mornings and late nights when you're self-employed, when you're entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So you got to be willing to have that mindset to do the work. You know, with work, good work, you get what you put in. Anything you get out what you put in. Anything. So.
Love it. My advice.
Oh, go ahead, Sharilla.
No, go ahead, Brandy. I love your energy. I'm listening to you.
Mine is really short too. I would just like remind everybody that Rome wasn't built in a day, and comparison could be the quickest killer to your dreams. So you got to see the vision through. If it doesn't happen in 3, like, things take time, right? And the vision is not gonna flourish and be amazingly perfect tomorrow. So you're gonna have to put in that work, like we've been saying the whole night, in the front end to build that thing to be sustainable. But don't get discouraged when, you know, there's some obstacles between you and the vision, because anything worth having is worth fighting for.
I have two things. Number one, I advise them to get to know themselves. Get to know who you are, what you like to do. I told you those hobbies, interests, and talents. You have to know what it is that you want to do. A lot of times you see what's trending and that's what you want to hop on. You see what, somebody made some fast money and you want to hop on that. Get to know yourself, figure out what your genius is, and build upon that. Building upon your genius will also help you to create your multiple sources of income. Millionaires have multiple streams of income. So you also not only have to get to know yourself, but then figure out how you can divide those talents up so that you have multiple streams of income, residual income. So you're making money even when you're not working. But the first step to that is getting to know yourself, getting to know who you are, so that whenever you're going into your business and starting your business, you have that plan. And you know, when you get these millions of ideas, you can then streamline it and figure out how to make it into multiple streams of income.
This is gold, y'all. I'm over here taking notes. Really quickly, Mr. Taylor had one more question for you, John. He said, John, how can we help you with your civic engagement? That's coming from Mr. Gregory Taylor. He's asking, how can he help you be more civically engaged?
I'm sorry, he asking what again?
He's asking, how can he personally help you? How can he help you be more civically engaged?
Whenever I decide to do something, just like and share and spread the word. That's to me, that's more important than money. Just help broadcast it, push it out, push the content. That's all I ask for. I mean, money's always good. If you feel like donating, that's fine, but I'm more of a just help me social media wise to where I can reach more people.
Yeah, just to chime in on this to clarify my question, as a point of privilege or transparency, John lives right down the road from me. And I remember when he started in cutting hair. I guess the essence of my question is, and this goes to all entrepreneurs who are looking to engage in civil engagement, what can we do as a New Rural Project or as other individuals to help you in promoting whatever that engagement is? And John was saying with haircuts, that's the first time I've heard that here in Scotland County, in Laurinburg in particular, that the barbers have done that. So I guess that's the essence of the question. Mm-hmm.
For me, I totally agree with John.
Yep.
How I was fortunate to get connected with the New Rural Project was through a event here in Hoke County. And when we were talking, one of the main things that came up was amplifying voices, right? Like being able to amplify the voices for people that need to be heard. And I think that that's like John said, just amplify those resources, right? In the different ways that people can connect. And I think if we all did that for each other, we'd see really good change happen.
Yep, same for me. I have a lot of services that I provide for free for students, and it's just very hard to get the word out there in this rural area to the people. And once I have an event, it's like, oh, I didn't know, and I'm like, I shared it every way I knew how to share it here. I don't know, but and they're all academic support. They're all positive things. So just sharing those things so I can get the things that I do offer for free that I can get in front of the people who need it. And even if you're at a table and you hear of someone saying, oh, there's a need here, there's a need there, I create academic and educational programs in my sleep, literally. So just, sharing what we do and who we are is the best way for us. I will say, especially like you said, in these rural areas, it's just hard to communicate and get the services out there.
Yes. Tavares, I see he in all caps mentorship. I think he had a question. Go ahead, Tavares.
Yeah. So the big thing, and I'll be super quick because I don't want to take anyone's time. So I've been in private practice. I have a geriatric psychiatry practice that running now for the last 5 years. The big thing for me as an entrepreneur was who was going to be a part of my accountability tree, right? I knew how to be a good therapist. I knew a lot about medication, but I didn't know how to run a business, right? So the big thing was who might be a really good financial advisor for me. Would that person be able to direct me to a really good accountant? Do I have a person who I can bounce ideas off of how to keep my business strong and thriving? Who is going to be that person to say, hey, listen, your slip is showing, right? So being able to keep those people around, the brother was talking about hanging around, if you hang around 5 poor people or 5 rich people, being able to create those healthy relationships enough so that we can beat the statistic that Black business doesn't last any longer than 5 years, right? So the big thing of being able to have mentorship around you and people who are a little bit smarter than you, who know how to make sure that your company can last. Right. So we all want to be able to provide a great service. I do too. Right. But I also want to be able to make money. And I can only imagine if I didn't have those people on my accountability tree saying, Tavares, this, but not that, you're on the right page, but maybe tweak this, I'll be broke because I'm going to want to buy 3 Maseratis. Right. I'm going to want to take all my friends on a yacht or something. Right. So I got these people saying, listen, let's look at these student loans first, and then we can make a decision later. So being able to have good people in that accountability tree is going to certainly keep that business open a little bit longer. Thanks, guys.
I appreciate that. Accountability is huge. To be able to tell you what you don't want to hear, if it's going to help move you forward. That is really great advice. Great advice. Well, this has been an amazing panel. I've learned a lot from each one of you, and I look forward to hearing more in the future and hearing y'all grow and expand and be successful in y'all's respective businesses. I saw where Sharilla posted her information, but if y'all would go ahead and put your information in the chat. I think Alexa she'll make it available also at the end here, but this has been an amazing panel. Y'all give yourself a nice Zoom round of applause. Alexa, was there anything that you wanted me to touch on? Did you want to come in and kind of wrap things up, or did you want me to go in and end it?
I couldn't find my unmute button. So thank you. Seriously, this has been absolutely phenomenal. You guys are absolutely hitting all the right notes. And yes, civic engagement is absolutely something that we strive for here at New Rural Project for sure. So we definitely want to make sure that we're amplifying the voices of the communities that we're serving. And we're in 7 counties. There's a lot of folks that we meet and get to talk with. So we're going to continue to do these types of young people's conversations. It's a quarterly series, and this was the second one for the year. So we really want to hear from you and know, what should we do next time? Next time, we're hoping to have a partnership with a Millennial Action Project who works on young legislative caucuses and really teaching how to engage on a legislative level. But, nothing is set in stone. You guys are the ones that we want to hear from, and we want to keep you coming back. So if you'll let us know what you would like to hear about. So you can drop it in the chat box. You can raise a hand if you've got any ideas. We absolutely would love to hear from you, or feel free to drop me a line or through feedback on Mobilize. I also, we are fortunate here tonight. We have both of the co-founders of New Rural Project who have joined our call this evening, Cynthia Wallace and Helen Probst Mills. Cynthia is our executive director, and Helen is our director of policy and operations. So I just want to open the floor and see if either of you, Cynthia, would you like to say anything to our participants tonight?
Just very briefly. I think Tavar said it best in the chat. Superstars here. This was a superstar panel, and I so appreciate, I think Brandy, you said it so excellently, which is really what Helen and I literally, in our mission, which is amplifying the voices of young and historically marginalized folks. And so that's exactly what this series is about. And that is what we're so excited that you all have participated with us. And we look forward to amplifying more voices. And hopefully we have your links for your organization so that we can share that if we send something out to all those who signed up. We'd love to continue to get your information out. So once again, outstanding. Thank you, Sam, and thank you to all of you who participated and brought such amazing information, and shows that there are a lot of millennial, Gen Z plus folks out here doing some excellent work.
I would just like to add, thank you so much to everyone, but huge kudos to all of you. People talk about how you're not engaged and not involved in your generation. And I'm sorry, but they should be listening in tonight, because clearly you are. Brandy, you said it best, I think, about the focus on the legislature here in North Carolina. So much about our own lives day to day in our communities is dictated by decisions made at the North Carolina General Assembly. The budget comes out tomorrow. We'll see what they think their priorities are. Would love to talk to you about how to uplift the voices of what really should be the priorities of the budget in North Carolina. So thank you all so much. This has really been incredibly powerful. And Shrilla, great to see you. Sorry, I didn't see you on Juneteenth. I missed you.
Thank you all. So New Rural Project, we do lots of different programs, lots of different things. We also have our regional organizer, Quinicia Moses, on the call here tonight. She operates and runs a weekly phone bank, which you can sign up for right on Mobilize every Thursday evening. We are reaching out to registered voters around this in our rural communities and encouraging them to get out to vote. That is our intention. Our goal is to really get folks out to those polls, have their voices heard. We absolutely believe that everyone on this call deserves to have their vote counted and have their vote mean something. So if you will please join us in all of these efforts. We will go as the election approaches. We're going to start knocking on some doors, getting people out, and we're going to continue these quarterly conversations. We're going to keep going into different counties and doing our barbershop conversations. We hope to expand it out to the ladies soon. So I know we have some more things going on in the chat. So I see we've got some links going in there for our Instagram, social media pages, Mobilize links to join the phone banks. We've got waiting lists at Molding Young Moguls. So feel free to jump into that chat box. We're going to leave this open for a bit. Mr. Davis, I see you have your hand up, so I will call upon you.
Thank you, Alexa. I just want to congratulate Cynthia and Helen on this series and tell these young entrepreneurs how impressive they are. I enjoyed the conversation, the discussion between the group. I am amazed at Brandy. She's one of my stars over here. I've been trying to get her involved in the political process ever since she was a younger person, and I'm ecstatic that you have roped her in, Cynthia. And she's one of the new. She's the future of Hoke County. Let me say it that way. She and the young people that she's working with, and she's just very impressive. The entire group was very impressive. Mr. Cole, you got a bright future, sir. You absolutely. And I saw a Bostic on politics means future. All politics are local, and wealth building start with knowing what wealth building is. Business development starts with knowing what entrepreneurship means. And you young people, like the old folks used to say, you got it going on. So thank you, Helen, and thank you, Cynthia, for inviting me to be a part of this tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was on another Zoom call while this was going on, but I did get a chance to hear a good portion of what was said. And the young lady from Eagle Springs, don't feel alone out there, darling. You in a part of Moore County that's being overlooked, but hopefully what you're doing with your entrepreneurship will make a difference out there. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, I see you've got a hand up one more time. You're muted though.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say to Miss Wallace, I have on my shirt is not white. All right. There was an old proverb from South Carolina that I picked up. I'm not originally from down here, but I picked up this proverb that said, it's still who you know. It's still who you know. I don't care what avenue of life you choose, entrepreneurship, nonprofit, or whatever, it's still who you know. And we touched upon that during the networking section. And so what my word of encouragement to the group is, continue to reach out to people. My philosophy is this: you never know who God will send into your life to bless your life. You never know who God will send into your life to bless your life. So be open, and be receptive. And I just want to say this, and Ms. Helen, forgive me for sharing this, but on our last call that we had, the Roe v. Wade came down, and it impacted Helen, and I could see in her eyes. And that just reinforced to me, and I prayed not only for this group, but for a lot of different people in this country, that the New Rural Project can be a tool to change and not be so much reactive, but proactive. And so I think with this group, especially with a lot of energy, a lot of bright ideas, a lot of dreams, that this can be harnessed to make a difference in our state. And because now that is what it's about. It's not about the federal level, it's about the state level. And we need to engage these 18 to 40-year-old individuals to take part in this process so that we can have a society in which we can all be proud of and live in safely. Thank you. This has been a great Zoom call, great conversation. You guys have inspired me, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
We are still here. Anybody wants to take any questions? We have been live streaming this on the New World Project Facebook page. We have a recording of this that we will send out to all of our participants. And we are in the process of getting a YouTube page up and running. So the recording of this will likely end up there as well. So we can share all of your wise words with as many people as we possibly can. So again, we thank you so much for all of your time and attention this evening. I'm not seeing any more questions. So anybody have anything else they want to add?
I just want to thank you. This is great. I love meeting you guys. Like John said, it's great to see and meet like-minded people.
Yeah, I second that. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Nice to meet all you wonderful people.
Look, I
Sorry,
learned
bye.
it. I loved it, guys. I'm glad to be connected now. So when I pop up in your inbox or in your email, you know who I am. Don't play.
I'm a stalker. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, check out all the links in the chat box. We've got social media pages up there. So I'm not a millennial or Gen Z. I'm old. I just use Facebook. I don't understand the rest of them. We're working on it.
I'm borderline.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. We're gonna close this out, and feel free to reach out to any of us at New World Project if we can help you with anything, or if you have any further questions or ideas for future topics. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
You guys, thank you. Good night.
Night.